Hello, everyone, and welcome. During COVID 19, we have heard a lot about asymptomatic patients, which means that these people do not have any symptoms, but they have virus in their system and they can spread that virus. So, one of the problems has been that there is no test available which is indicated for asymptomatic patients. Now, FDA has allowed the HCPs, the healthcare providers or doctors, to make that decision, even if the patient is asymptomatic, but they have reason to believe that they might have COVID 19. They can order a test, and one of the authorized tests can be used for that purpose. Now, just last week, for the first time, FDA has authorized an indication for asymptomatic patients for a particular test from LabCorp. And in this video, I'm going to talk about that test. As it happens, this test is also authorized for pool sampling, and I talked about pool sampling for another test in a video that I just made last week, and you can find that video on my YouTube channel. I'll be talking about pool sampling in future videos as well. But in this video, I want to talk about the asymptomatic patients and how this particular test got authorized and focus a little bit about their validation data. So let's look into this. Just a recap, so far 187 tests have been authorized by the FDA, and a majority of them have been RT-PCR tests. So 154 RT-PCR tests, 31 antibody tests, and 2 antigen tests have been authorized. And many of the tests I have talked about in my prior videos. So this particular test was originally authorized in March, but since then, LabCorp has added additional indications and features, and most recently this particular test was revised, the authorization was revised on July 24th last week. So indications are for the diagnosis of COVID-19 by detecting the presence of SARS-CoV-2 virus. It's also now indicated for asymptomatic individuals. It's indicated for at-home collection and pool sampling. So this test really has a lot of indications and can be used under different circumstances. The technique is real-time RT-PCR. The target is the SARS-CoV-2 nucleocapsid gene, and there are different regions in that gene that they target. Samples come from the upper and lower respiratory systems. Formats are singleplex, where 3 different assays are run, and also a multiplex, where just a single reaction is run. This is to extract the RNA and then convert that into a cDNA, which is complementary DNA, and amplify that DNA to achieve a signal. So there are multiple steps in this process. In multiplex, a single reaction can be run at one time. So that allows them very high throughput. Instrument is Applied Biosystems QuantStudio 7 Flex. Authorized labs are CLIA High Complexity, or some labs authorized or designated by LabCorp. So let's look at the validation study that LabCorp used for getting authorization for asymptomatic individuals. They used a positive cohort of 20 samples which tested positive from their Pixel screening. Now this Pixel test system is actually an at-home test collection. So they had collected samples, and patients had identified themselves as asymptomatic, which means they did not have any symptoms, but they were still requesting the test. And these particular 20 samples were found to be positive. So that's their positive cohort. Negative cohort is 113 random negative samples from their own employee screening initiative. And they compared it to a set of samples where 36 symptomatic positives and 57 symptomatic negatives were tested. So the idea here is to really compare the testing and the results between these cohorts. So let's look at their data. In this particular chart, they are actually presenting the asymptomatic versus symptomatic crossover threshold values. Now, just a quick point about crossover thresholds. It's basically the number of cycles it takes during the test for the fluorescence signal to exceed a certain threshold value. Lower the number, meaning it achieves the threshold value faster, and that also implies that there is more virus present in the system. And typically a value of around 40 is considered to be the upper limit. Beyond that, the sample is considered negative. And below that, the sample is positive with the presence of coronavirus. And typically I have seen a range of about 25 to 35 or 36, depending upon the viral load and the type of reaction they are running and the type of test that they are running. So this crossover threshold number is an important number to keep in mind when we compare data. So here they are showing in blue bars the asymptomatic number for average of the positive cohort that I just talked about. And in orange, it is for symptomatic patients. And typically there's a shift, and they are calculating about a 2 cycles shift, which means that the sample is now a little bit less in viral concentration. But it is still within the standard deviation of the data that they have produced for symptomatic individuals. So essentially, their conclusion is that given the sample pool that they tested, they are able to detect the presence of virus from these asymptomatic patients. Now, what they also did was that they tested this pool of samples on another comparator EUA assay for SARS-CoV-2, not just this LabCorp test. So they compared those samples on another method, EUA authorized. And here they had 100% agreement with positive samples and negative samples. So this is the validation data that they provided to FDA, which the FDA used to give them this indication. Now, there are certainly some concerns in my mind. First of all, it's a very limited sample size. Only 20 samples for asymptomatic patients were used. Secondly, these patients self-identified themselves as asymptomatic. Now, they may have mild symptoms and they may not have considered them to be relevant for COVID-19. We don't know. So, small sample size, self-identification of symptoms is a concern. However, the data shows that the system or the test method is able to detect these particular samples, and there's good positive agreement and negative agreement on another comparator assay. So in principle, it works. But again, the test will be in real life. So it remains to be seen how well it can be used, and hopefully more data will come out in future. But this is another good news in increasing the availability of testing for different kinds of individuals and patients. And again, keep in mind, the whole purpose of testing is to make smart decisions about the care of that individual and also public safety at large. So if a person is asymptomatic, they may not know that they can be infectious and spread the disease. And this test can allow them to learn whether they are positive or not and then self-isolate. So this will be helpful. However, from a validation point of view, the data still remains limited. I'm personally happy to see continuous progress in the type of testing available, the type of indications coming out. One thing that we are anxiously waiting for is at-home testing. Not just at-home collection, but at-home testing, and that will be great. So as you can see, there continues to be a lot of progress. We are learning a lot and things are happening on a weekly basis. And I'm producing these videos just to keep you informed and bring you the latest from the FDA as they authorize new tests when they come out. I want to hear from you. So let me know if you have any questions or anything that you want to learn more about. You can sign up on my YouTube channel to subscribe to the videos that I'm making, and I'll show you how. So you can go to YouTube and look up Exceed QM Naveen Agarwal PhD. You will find my channel. I will also post on LinkedIn. So when you follow me on LinkedIn, you will be able to see a link to come back to these videos on YouTube. So let me know what is on your mind. Send me your questions or comments, anything that you would want me to look up and research and produce another video. I really want to thank you for your continued support and attention and engagement. And I hope all of you are staying safe.